I think you run with me out of fear.
Dude, I'm not bad between the wickets. Like,
No, you're not.
I can run.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
But
I am scared of you, yeah. I'm a scary guy, man. Well, there's one thing that we're going to talk about today, which was Virat's tribute to AB de Villiers.
AB de Villiers, yeah.
Which was, I mean, really nicely written. It's kind of, a lot in it where he talks about like just the joy of playing with, someone like ABD and, their times shared as teammates. And it was quite cool. Like I enjoyed reading like Kohli's perspective on that. It was cool to see him talk about like someone who has also been his opponent, of course, in many, high intensity games, but, that they've gotten to play together as teammates at RCB. But one comment in that piece like caught my attention because I feel it's something that you care deeply about, which is running between the wickets. And he basically said, just to paraphrase, like he doesn't have to think about it at all when it comes to him and ABD running.
Yeah,
they just kind of communicate almost telepathically. So yeah, I was just curious, what's your reaction to that? What do you think about that comment?
No, I think it's great that they have that connection, and it's the results have shown, right? When they played together at RCB, they've had so many awesome partnerships. I forget. I think it was maybe 2016 season or 2017 season when like Kohli was like at his absolute peak, if you want to call it that. He was like making runs for fun. IPL, he was just scoring runs, like always 500-600 runs in a season. But they were both making runs.
Yeah.
And like you said, like see, I have probably a connection like that with Praneeth. Anytime the two of us get a chance to bat, I feel like we just exhaust the opponent by running between wickets.
What's running between the wickets with Varun like? A good friend.
See, I think it's unfair in a way because we've not had many opportunities to bat together. I think there is an opportunity to get better at it.
So you generally are a hard runner between the wickets?
Yes.
You enjoy that aspect of your game?
Yeah.
It's a key part of like how you
it's how I make
innings,
runs,
right?
I don't make runs by hitting sixes.
So it's a major part of like how you build an innings. So what do you want in like your partner who you're building a partnership with in terms of the running between the wickets? Like what do you look for?
I'm always looking for a run. Like if there's a quick single within the circle, you make it happen. If you've got the ball past the fielder in the circle, looking for the opportunity for it too. So like that first run has to be irrespective of where the ball's gone. You're running that first run hard and creating that opportunity for a second. Especially in our league where a lot of people don't have strong arms. And so even if the guy picks up the ball and drops it, you can actually make a second.
Yeah, no one's doing like a one-handed, one action pick up and throw. That's really not happening that often. At least not in terms of like closing fields.
Exactly. So the opportunity to sneak in singles, and also again we talk about the reason why those opportunities are more in our games are because we play in like thick grass, and so even for a fielder to pick up the ball with that grass is tough.
There've been a couple times though where you've like, just kind of blitzed your way down the track, and your batting partner's been a little oblivious to your running down the wicket.
That's when people don't trust me. So that's why I take Praneeth's example is I always tell that I'm always looking for a single. If you say no, I'm confident I'll make it back. Because I run only as far down as I know I can make it back before committing.
So you're actually gauging how much you've run from the non-striker's crease?
Or striker's crease, yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're at the non-striker's end, obviously. And it's your call. Or rather, it's the batsman's call, sorry.
If the batsman's calling and they've hit the ball behind me, I don't even look, I just run.
We haven't had an opportunity to bat together that much, but I think the few times I have...
I think you run with me out of fear.
Dude, I'm not bad between the wickets. Like,
no, you're not.
I can run.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
But
I am scared of you, yeah. fucking scary guy, man.
Come on, man, you're double my size.
You Glover, you know, you're like fucking Kohli only there. You're like
And
that look on your face, machan.
there's a clip of when you made your 64, and I joined you at some point in that innings before you got to 50, and then we were running really hard, and I think there was one where we took 2 runs, and you were not coming back for the third. And I was halfway down the pitch. I was like, run!
You know what? You know what always comes to mind for me is that Pragyan Ojha and VVS like test match. Do you remember that?
No.
I think it was against Australia. It was bad. Pragyan Ojha was like last man, and we needed like maybe 10 runs to win at that point or something like that. But VVS was also injured that game. But this one run where Pragyan Ojha is running like just brainlessly, right? And it's also like VVS is trying to retain strike. And so and VVS, like, he's not someone who's known to get angry, but he's just like yelling at Pragyan Ojha and belting him, and he's got his hand up like this and his bat up like this, and he's like, get the back, like, go back, go back, go back.
Like Sarfaraz.
Yeah, like Sarfaraz and punt this game. But every time I think about that, I'm like, and you can see Pragyan Ojha's face also. He's like, oh shit, what have I done? Like, VVS himself is yelling at me. And he's just
of all people.
Yeah, of all people. And then he turns around and just like hurries back. But it's hilarious, dude. It's one of those images that I'll always remember. But speaking of like Sarfaraz, man, that partnership Pant and Sarfaraz had, like, that was pretty special, dude. That whole game was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, after getting bowled out for such a low total, and sort of, we were talking about this soon after they got bowled out, and you still had faith, and I feel like that 90s cricket fan like was reawakened, right? Where like there's always hope, even if we don't always like make it past the finish line, kind of scenario.
Yeah. I think it's important to have a hope. The interesting thing is, I look at all these games, both the Bangladesh second test, where like the first 3 days were essentially washed out,
Yeah.
and the New Zealand test. Obviously, both games, it's easy for a team to say, all right, 3 days are washed out.
Yeah.
We can't get a result. We just play it out. But they scored in the Bangladesh test at 8 point in the first innings. India batted, whatever they made, 298 something, right? At 8 runs and over to force a result.
That was pretty
That
special.
mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Then
agree.
same thing with the New Zealand test, 46 all out in the first innings. And you'd think that the only thing a team was going to think was, how do we save this game? I don't know if you attribute this to Gigi or Rohit or whatever, or the new management in general. But they were like, hey, screw this. Okay, 46 all out. And Rohit gave that interview, right? Like, who's going to be the first one to pull out the sword and attack me, in his interview. But it's like, I don't care. 46 all out. So what?
I feel like that's the kind of response that really endears Rohit to a lot of people. Definitely to me. Like, he's ready and willing to not take himself too seriously and admit that, like, sometimes you make calls, sometimes they're the right calls, sometimes they're not. But, like, go for it.
Yeah.
But
see, I feel like there's one thing. So the first time I felt like there was a new India emerging in terms of how they approach cricket was the Adelaide test.
I was going to say the same thing. That's
Right?
exactly what was on my mind. That test, I think I 100% agree with you. It was a declaration of intent.
Yeah, that we are not here to
They fucking
succumb.
went for it. They went for it.
Like we'd rather lose,
Yeah.
but rather lose trying to
Going
win
for it. Yeah.
versus just play for a tame draw.
Yeah.
But that's great for intent. There's one problem India has not been able to solve. There are two things, when batting and bowling. Okay, and I feel this has been through the 90s, early 2000s, even now, where they'll have the opposition pegged back at a 200 for 7, 200 for 8. And there's one guy, number 9, number 10, who comes and makes a 50.
I don't think that's just an India problem, though.
No. Hold on. So I've seen Stark do that. I've seen Mitchell Johnson play that role. I've seen guys in England do that. Even with Sri Lanka, those things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, we give centuries to people like Chris Wokes and whatnot, right? Like,
Exactly, right? That's one problem. The other problem is even you're in a position of strength where you're like 400, and then you lose the remaining 7 wickets for like 50 runs.
I mean, even in this test, right, the
Yeah,
New
it
Zealand
occurred
one,
twice in this test.
they made, I think the stat was something like amongst teams that have, in the first 5 wickets, gotten to 400, it was the second lowest additional total, addition to the total after having gotten that much. And the previous instance was like in the 1920s or something like that. But you're I think you're spot on, where it's like getting 80% there, right? And then you're just missing like that one ingredient that would put you up above.
Yeah, because if you look at like the WTC also, right? Of course, you had innings from Steve Smith. He made a century, and Travis Head. Oh my God, like he loves to play
Travis
against
Head
India.
is like our bugbear, man. Like,
But I something
World
tells
Cup
me,
final?
yes. But I
WTC
think
final?
he's had his merry year. I think he will be found out. But they made the highlight scores. But there was Alex Carey who made a very quiet 50. But without him, or like those little contributions
Yeah.
from Pat Cummins, those things are missing. Those things happen when, like in the Oval Test, no, the Lord's Test, where Bumrah made his 50.
Lord Shardul Thakur after that.
In Oval, Lord Shardul made 50s in both innings.
Yeah.
He loves playing at the Oval. He made it in the WTC also.
I mean, I would say that, and I
But
know this is well
that
documented.
was a rescue inning. It was not part of a collapse. In the face of a collapse where you've had a big score built up, and then you have a sudden collapse of 7 wickets is what I'm talking about. 7, 8, 6 wickets.
But so I was going to say that I don't think this is necessarily just an India problem. I feel like a lot of teams end up giving runs this way. Like even if you look at India's number 7 to 10, especially at home at least, and to a certain extent, even abroad, but at home definitely, they have contributed like between Ashwin, Jadeja,
Yeah.
Shardul, especially Ashwin Jadeja, right? They have made significant runs.
They have. I'm talking about the scenario in which those runs come. Oftentimes they come in a situation where the top order is like completely shit the bed, or like one guy has played and then they've done a rescue job. But it's like when some of the top order fires.
Saying really capitalizing on that.
Exactly. It's like you built everything. Like how often does India make 600 against a top team like New Zealand, like Australia, like England?
When they were less aggressive, they would total more. Like if you go back to like Sachin, Dravid, Ganguly, Lakshman era, they did make some higher totals. 2 reasons. I feel the bowling attack was not as strong, so they always felt like they needed even more runs on the board. Scoring rates were a little slower.
Of course.
Right? And I mean, that was true for all teams. And there was probably more value even tactically compared to now.
Would you say, take great 4 from that era, Tendulkar, Dravid, Lakshman, Ganguly, and then if you add Sehwag to that mix, but those 4 specifically, when you put them in conditions like playing in New Zealand, playing in England, playing in Australia, when you think of the pace at which they played, right, which was much slower, that maybe they were technically better equipped batsmen, that they adjusted to the conditions much better compared to the current crop.
If we just take Tendulkar and Dravid alone, from a technique standpoint, I don't think there's anyone better. Like,
I mean, Lakshman also.
Lakshman too, but Tendulkar and Dravid have scored runs around the world against every opposition.
Yeah.
In every country, under every type of condition.
And I miss South Africa in my...
And against like significantly good bowlers.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any debate that technically those two would be at the top of my list in terms of, and of course we're not talking about like previous generations that we've not seen play, But from definitely the 90s and 2000s compared to now, yeah, I think technically speaking, worlds apart. Or rather, I shouldn't say worlds apart, but like no comparison in terms of like technically who's better, right? Part of that narrative, I think, is also around the batting more aggressively and going for wins, which has happened more in recent times, which means you tend to get out.
Yeah.
Like you're not playing as
No, that's a fair
defensively,
point. That's a fair point.
You're not playing as conservatively, right? You're going for it. So
Yeah.
you are much more likely, to lose your wicket.
Yeah, I think my point was more heavily weighted around if you're playing to conserve, you're also presenting more opportunities to the bowler to get your wicket because at the end of the day, it takes four less. Like if you take a Pujara, for example, right? He's always going to bat at that low strike rate, survival mode. But then when you play for survival, it can be your enemy.
Jared Kimber had an interesting video about this.
Okay.
Where he talks about how, like, having that kind of technique and approach, you still obviously have to be a really talented batsman.
Yeah.
To score with that as your primary like mindset and approach. And so his point was that, and I'm missing a lot of the nuance, but basically that there's really no comparator in the modern game to a Pujara with that sort of game who has also been
Made runs,
right? Because I don't really, and it's true, like I can't think of anybody else in that mold currently who's also like, that was a template for many players if you go back 15 years maybe, 20 years for sure, right?
Yeah.
And before.
I mean, this also might be like my bias as a Sachin fan. And I'm a big Kohli fan. But as Kohli would admit, like Sachin is, in his opinion, in my opinion, a way more accomplished batsman overall. There's a video of Sachin, a fan video on YouTube. I think it's at Sydney or something. It's a side-on view. And you have to just watch the guy play cricket, man. Just bat. It's like watching somebody dance. He's at one. It's like there's no bat and there's no Sachin. They're all one thing.
Yeah.
And it's not about aggression or it's just pure grace. The way he moves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like, I could put Sachin highlight videos on and it just feels like the most soothing thing in the world. And it's also, like you said, there isn't a sense of, everything just, as you said, flows, right? Like it's like the natural order of things is for Sachin to hit that on drive, is for him to hit that straight drive.
Yeah.
Right? Like that just feels like the natural order of things. It's like water flowing down, like a river flowing down, right? Or a waterfall cascading. That's just the way it's meant to be, almost. What's one of your like favorite Sachin memories? And I'm sure there are lots, right? So what's something that like just comes to mind for you right now?
I'll mention two. So one is obviously the Sandstorm, both innings, where I was not able to watch either of. I was able to watch the one before the final where we didn't win the game, but like he helped with the equation, and then he got out after we met the equation, and he was going for the win. But the final I missed, and it's hard to find a good quality video of that innings. But I remember that it was around something, I had an exam or something, and I was not allowed to watch the TV, something like that. An innings that's memorable to me was, this was probably before he made his 200 also. India were chasing a 300 plus score. It was a game in India versus Australia in the late 2000s. So he was obviously towards the end of his career as a one-day cricketer. And he made 175. After his partnership with Suresh Raina, things just fell apart. People like played bad shots and we lost by like 18, 17 runs. And I was so upset. But the thing about that innings was, I was very superstitious when I watched cricket when India was playing, especially when Sachin was batting. I was like, I don't move, I don't touch anything, I sit still. I wanted to go to the bathroom, but I did not for the entire innings, just out of superstition.
If you went to the bathroom, Sachin would get out.
So here's the funny thing, right? Every time I turn on the TV, if the match has already started, a wicket falls when India is batting. Even if it's the highlights, if I start the highlights, it will start at the point where a wicket falls.
So for me,
And because that would happen, my roommates would lock me in my room.
are you serious?
Yes, this happened to me.
So sad.
And funny things, after they locked me, then India would win. I feel like I've broken that jinx now.
Yeah, I would hope so. I should think of it as like, when I am watching, they're getting a wicket because I'm watching. So
That also works. So what I used to do, there was this in the 2011 World Cup when England was chasing. India batted first, and then England was chasing. They were having a good
it was a
partnership.
tight game, Sachin century.
Huh. And they were in a good position. So I told my friend, like, let's turn off the TV. Let's change the channel. And we'll turn it back on after 5 minutes. And we turned
Wicket
it,
fell.
and wicket fell.
Not bad, yeah. Do you don't do all this now when we're playing in MSL, E3C?
No. I mean, I'm like, what if I turn it off and turn it back on and like somebody gets out from my
No,
team?
I'm saying when you're at the ground.
No, obviously not. No.
Like you don't just sit in one position, all this blah blah.
Sometimes I do.
Really?
Yeah, depends on like what the situation is. If somebody's batting.
The only thing you're like intense about is not putting any liquids near the streaming stuff.
No, like if Abhi or Anmol are batting and they're on a good score and things are going well, I will.
The only thing like you guys get annoyed with me about is a certain phrase, as we well know.
I mean, that's contributed to a lot of.
I feel like that's attributing a little too much to just words.
I'll tell you my first memory of looking good. It was 2019 E3C game versus UAE.
Okay.
Where Binesh Prabhakar had made.
We were playing in
Almond Park. So we finished our innings. I mean, we finished bowling. I was keeping that day. After that, Weber was supposed to open the innings with maybe Kamara or something. And he's hungry, so he leaves the ground. So I opened the innings with Kamara. I think and I don't know if I was the first to get out or Kamara or whatever, but so we start and everything. After 3-4 overs, you come with water.
And I said, looking good.
And you said the famous phrase, like, you're looking really good, dude. Next ball out.
I mean, you must have been looking good, bro. I don't know what to say. I was super lucky that I got to watch like 3 of his test centuries.
That's amazing.
Like 93 versus England, 98 versus Australia.
Pakistan.
And the Pakistan game. That, I think, is probably one of my most enduring favorite cricket memories, and of course Sachin memories too. But that was the Friendship Series, 99 I think it was. And what a test match. I mean, it was like the most intense test match, right? Like, I forget exactly how much we needed in the 4th innings. I think we were chasing like 220, something like that.
It was a similar situation to that Australia game, man. I think it was Nayan Mongia in this time who was the culprit.
Nayan Mongia was 100% the culprit here, because once he got out, and in those days, of course, we had like no batting after 7.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, with all due respect to Javagal Srinath and Anil Kumble and so on. And I mean, Srinath was like my favorite fast bowler growing up. Like, I idolized him.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he was the only Indian fast bowler of note for our generation. Like, if you think about it.
Wouldn't you count like... I mean, there must have been some overlap where you saw Kapil Dev play.
I did, but Kapil Dev retired in 94. And, he was obviously like at the very end of his career, right? So yeah, I mean, he was definitely, Kapil Dev was my first hero, because I always thought of myself as an all-rounder, and of course, Kapil's an all-rounder, and, like that template of that game, I think I still feel like that's how I want to play. But in terms of like someone who just bowled fast, who like won us games with his fast bowling, like I still remember like 5 for 24 at the Motera, bowling South Africa out in 96. Like, Srinath had these like beautiful spells. He was the only one like getting wickets on tours.
Had some unique action also.
Beautiful. I mean, okay, beautiful is like maybe pushing it, but unique is more like...
It was unique, yeah.
But I definitely tried to, model myself on that action in some ways at that point in time. So yeah, a bit of a digression, but like Srinath was definitely my favorite Indian fast bowler. But that test, of course, Wasim Akram was captaining Pakistan. Wasim was hands down like my favorite bowler then. Just
It's
magic.
no surprise.
Just magic, dude. Like, what a bowler. Going back to that Pakistan test, we were so agonizingly close. Sachin had back spasms.
I know.
He was like, you could see him wincing, like in pain, right? Sakleen Mushtaq had been taking like 5 wickets every innings for like fun. Like in the, in the test before, he basically had a fifer in every innings, right? And he took like 20 wickets in that series. It was a 2-test series. And we were so close, so close. I think we lost by like 13 or
I think
something like that.
Tendulkar got out when we needed 17 runs.
Yeah.
And before that, the wicket was Mongia, where he hit this shot where
It was a skyer.
he got caught at
got caught.
mid off or something.
Yeah.
It's like unwanted, ridiculous
Completely
shot.
unnecessary. It was just between the two of them, they could have finished the game.
Exactly.
And then I think Sachin ended up going for it because at that point it was like, I think 2 other wickets had fallen at the other end. And we were like 9 down.
Yeah. And this is where, people talk about like the haters about Sachin's innings and everything. It's like he played in an era where often he was the lone warrior.
There's absolutely a narrative, right? A trajectory.
Yeah.
From Sachin, from us starting to finally win abroad under, both Saurav and Rahul, right? Like starting to win series, winning in the West Indies, winning in England, like winning test matches in Australia, to finally getting to like Dhoni, Kohli, and now Rohit, and the kind of results that we have now and the kind of standing we have now. And that's the thing that I think really bugs me and irritates me about a lot of Indian fans today, which is that they take this kind of success for granted.
Yeah.
Without realizing, what the struggles were.
But I think what I also like is it's the fans who are the ones responsible for it. If you ask someone like a Kohli or a Rohit Sharma, they will never think like that. They know what the value of having played. Like Tendulkar started in the late 80s.
Of course, yeah.
Played in the 90s.
Yeah.
Played through the 2000s. Survived a bit of that IPL period
think
also.
About it. Like when he made his debut,
yeah,
you still had like Malcolm Marshall playing. You still had Imran Khan playing.
Yeah.
Right? He made his debut in the same test as Waqar Younis. Right? And then you come to a generation where he's playing like Alan Donald and Glenn McGrath and Shane Warne, like his contemporaries, Muralidharan.
Yeah.
And then he's still playing when, the opposition is Dale Steyn and Mone Mokul and, like Mitch Johnson and, whoever else. Like, it's insane. Like the longevity that he had and the results that he had over literally
but it's
3 generations.
And he having to adapt his game through all of that, right? So back in the 80s and early 90s.
Across multiple formats.
Yeah, in 1992, if you look at the World Cup, even if you made 200, that was a very good score.
Yeah.
Then, once Sri Lanka started in the 96 World Cup, playing the way they were playing, slowly like 300 was a great score, 280 was fantastic, but then anything 250 plus, game was on.
Even that 96 World Cup, just remember how integral Sachin was to India's success in making it to that semi-final, right? Like I think
he single-handed every game he scored.
Yeah.
Even in the semi-final, he got out for 65 or something.
And it was only after his dismissal that like everything went to pot.
Yeah. But I mean, see, the point is that, right? See, those days, a batsman would complete the century, Sachin included in the 96 World Cup, in like the 40th, 45th over, bat through the innings, right? And then he was the first guy to make 200 in ODIs. Like, he has seen how the pace of the game has changed, adapted through injury and everything. He made a 200 in a time for his game where he was not hitting sixes as at will the way he was hitting in the 90s because tennis elbow and everything. He had changed his game so much. And yet he managed to play at that pace.
I mean, the other thing that always like I think of often, and this is like not a statistics related, sort of or technique related piece. It's just from a purely emotional kind of connect, right? You're growing up and you're watching the Indian team play. I never liked the whole God thing. What I almost felt connected to was this notion that like Sachin was a fixture in our lives,
Yeah.
right? Like he was a constant presence. He was a consistent presence. He was dependable. He was reliable. Like your hopes rested on him. And he was this amazing player who was like so fun to watch and like excellent at what he did and like absolutely beautiful when he was on song. And you combine all of this, like as a kid, like as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, you're like, you grow your own, kind of bond with this, with this sports person, even though you're only watching him through the TV, right? And
Yeah.
it becomes a part of your life in a way, right?
Yeah, he was a big part of my life.
All right, I think that wraps us up. So all the usual things, like, subscribe, and follow along, and give us feedback. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you'd like to see. Tell us what you don't like, and hopefully we'll have like people along for the ride, and there'll be a couple more of these to come.